Bad blood brewing between Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as the president's polling numbers tank. Joe's approval rating taking another beating at 33%. It's the lowest since he took office. And his chief rival, former President Trump, is crushing Biden in 7 must-win swing states. Democrats and the media are now sounding the alarm.
All of us have got to do a better job of talking about what has been done to save the economy. And we also have to define who Donald Trump is and the things that he has said and his record and how they'll impact people in Michigan.
I remain very pessimistic about our chances to really have a big election, to really galvanize key voters.
It sounds to me like you think if the election were held today, Biden would lose.
Well, me and everybody else.
And to top off the problems, in the White House, Kamala Harris is reportedly feuding with her boss. The VP pushing the White House to be more sympathetic toward Palestinians. Harris' office, however, is denying a rift with Biden. Kellyanne, I'd love to start with you, and let's pick up on James Carville. He's not the only one. David Axelrod, perhaps more notably, who helped, of course, elect Barack Obama, he has sounded very doom and gloom about Joe Biden. Is Axelrod, is Carville just all of a sudden a truth teller? Or is there something more going on in them sort of pointing out the obvious negativities?
Well, they're both winners. They both got presidents elected, so people in their party should listen. If I were a Democrat, I would get rid of Biden and Harris, just roll the dice, probably have to lose in 2024, but save the party in the process. This is a party that for years, including with Obama and Clinton, the two presidents that Axelrod and Carville helped to elect, this is a party of youth and energy and outsiders. And in the last 2 election cycles, they did Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, swamp creatures. And Joe Biden has no good news in any polling data. I'm amazed that the mainstream media keeps investing millions of dollars in polling, knowing it's going to be so bad for Joe Biden. Can't they just hire a few extra people instead of doing all this bad polling? But they almost want him out of there. Look, Joe Biden's polls have never been as bad, and Donald Trump's has never been as good from 2016 to 2020, including on who do you trust more to handle the economy, the border, Ukraine, the Middle East, crime, you name it. The Democratic Party right now has a couple of advantages. I just don't think it's enough for Biden. It's too much, too little, too late. Basically, the modern Democratic Party wakes up every morning. It says January 6th on the calendar. They get in their electric vehicle and they go get an abortion. The end. In 10 seconds or less, the Democratic Party. Kamala Harris is part of that misery. If she were remotely competent, I believe someone would have gone to Joe Biden a long time ago and said, look, you finally got the brass ring. You ran for president 3 times. You finally won. You got rid of Donald Trump. Oh, and now you can do one last thing in your 80s. You can help us elevate and elect the first female president of color. But because she can't, she battles that teleprompter. The teleprompter always seems to win. We don't see her much. Most days it says the vice president has nothing on her public calendar. How is everybody you know busier than the vice president of the United States? Right. She is his insurance policy and job security, but Biden is not Harris's. That's why people like Newsom are looking around.
So let me ask you this, Jessica. I believe you reject the idea, correct me if I'm wrong, that Joe Biden will be replaced as the nominee for president. So if you reject the idea, my question for you is, what will Democrats do? What will be the topic, the issue? Kamala Harris wants to talk more about Palestinians. I mean, my suspicion is 2024 for the Democrats will be the year of abortion. That will be the topic of choice for an entire year.
Well, since the Dobbs decision was overturned, abortion hasn't just been the topic of choice for Democrats. It's been the topic of choice for all Americans. Republicans who are part of the pro-life movement celebrate it as a victory. And Greg always points this out. It's a morality question for them, right? This isn't a negotiable about, no, actually we'll go to 15 weeks or it should be 20 weeks. It's life begins at conception. And so a lot of these states who have incredibly intrusive and, overextensive restrictions on abortion, they're standing by their beliefs there. So yes, this election will be about abortion. There will be more referendums on it, and Democrats will continue to win those, as they've been doing in deep, deep red states. But Kellyanne says, we wake up, it's January 6th, then we go and get an abortion.
In your electric vehicle.
Sure, in my EV. So January 6th happened once for me. I haven't gone to get an abortion. I don't have an electric vehicle. But you continue to hear about cases like Kate Cox from Texas, where you live, right? A woman, a mother of 2, pregnant with a wanted pregnancy, her 3rd pregnancy, gets a diagnosis of trisomy 18. Her doctors say, she needs an abortion. Lower court grants it. Then the Supreme Court of Texas overrules it, restricting her. This is about health of the mother and preserving her fertility. This is what the pro-life movement wants, right? People who want children and should be able to have them. She has to leave the state in order to have that care. She has the means to do it, which a lot of women don't. And that will be on the ballot. But you said there are no good polls. And I'm not saying that Biden isn't in trouble. I don't live in a fantasy land. But Reuters, Ipsos had a poll of the 7 biggest swing states. Biden's up 4. The Harvard Kennedy poll of young people, same margin advantage with Gen Z and millennial voters that he had when he won in 2020. There is good news. We choose not to talk about it.
We got to move quickly, but I just want to say on the Kate Cox case, because, you know, you sell news by headlines. People don't understand the facts. The state law in there says you can have an abortion if there's a threat to the life of the mother or you have bodily harm for the mother. She nor her doctor made that case at the Supreme Court. They outsourced it to a medical board. They simply didn't make the case. So that's the facts on a case that is remarkably controversial when you only read by the headlines.
No.
7 states. Those 7 states in polling. That's bad news for Biden.
It is tough. And listen, when I first heard the story of that the vice president's out there, she's not only saying that he needs to be more empathetic publicly, more concerned for the Palestinians, but that he needs to be tougher on Bibi, which I thought was interesting. Okay, because my thought in D.C. is always, who leaked this? Where did it come from? And why? You always have to ask those questions. And I thought, are they trying to protect the Biden-Harris ticket in that he can be seen as, I'm really, going to stand with the Israelis, there's going to be no daylight, where she can be the other voice saying, like, actually, we are advocating on this other part. I don't know if it's about protecting the ticket or what else, but when you have things that are leaked so clearly, you got to wonder why in Washington always.
Yeah, they said at the top of this thing that they were defining Donald Trump's record. They weren't. They're defining a fantasy. This is what's going to happen if you have a Trump second term, right? He's going to make himself into the Fuhrer. Hitler, perhaps Mussolini. He's going to annex Canada, annex Mexico. He's going to shoot visitors to the White House, possibly shoot a first lady, according to David Frum, throw opponents in jail, use martial law against American people, rewrite the Constitution, create mass internment camps, send people to Gitmo, assassinate generals, actually have troops attack Americans, paralyze the government, end democracy, the destruction of the Justice Department, the end of rule of law. It will be the last election you will vote in as he tears down institutions. He will go for a third term. What's missing in all that? Evidence. It's nothing about record. It's about the fantasies that they create. They're in trouble, and here's why. They took the pro-Hamas cause, and they slipped it right into the BLM costume. Never mind the radicalism, the violence, the sexual atrocity. They took the costume of the oppressed and they switched it. Now the Jews are the oppressor. It's not young people they should worry about in their party. They should worry about Jews finally seeing the handwriting on the wall. You are the new oppressor. You are the new cops. You are the new Derek Chauvin. And Hamas is the new George Floyd, We desperately need to have a correction in the Democrat Party because, we've been saying this for years. A strong Democrat Party makes for a strong country. We need to have 2 sides of the same coin, right? They have to be based on common values, but you can't have common values if you separate everybody into identity boxes and then turn them on each other. And that's what the Democratic Party is suffering from right now.
Bravo.
Thanks.
All right, the fastest is up next.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.